Hey guys, Cobra DBS here, and we there's two of us today, and this you've changed your YouTube name a handful of times. It's
It's been like 4 times at this point.
it's Derek's Game Room now. Is that right?
Derek's Game World right now, which that also might be changed here shortly.
You have to create a new account every time you do that?
No, this time I can just change it on Google Plus.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But for right now, it's Derek's Game World.
Okay, previously, King of 8-Bit, Zohan Gamer.
I'm the Retro Gamer. Going way back.
Yeah. So anyway, in my last pickup video, I made a comment about wanting to do a video on those limited run game companies. Do you say your name in your videos, or do I have to call you Derek?
I say my name in my videos.
Okay. Well, Hunter reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, I was interesting idea." What's that? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, Hunter reached out to me and said, I was thinking about doing the same thing. So I said, well, why don't we just do a video together? So this will actually be on both channels, assuming I can get that to work. But that shouldn't be a problem. So anyway, I guess the topic in general is the limited run companies. And I guess the first thing I wanted to say was, when I say limited run, I'm not necessarily talking about limited run games with the company. It's like the umpteen different limited print companies that there are nowadays. So I mean, it's been I don't even know what the first one of these that I got was, but I've probably been collecting them, buying them for, I don't know, a couple of years now.
Yeah, a couple of years.
I would have to really think about what the first one I got was. I don't remember. I sure don't.
It
might have been this. It might have been Iconoclasts. And I think the reason I bought it, I know the reason I bought it, but if this was the first one, what really sold me was the Super Nintendo box design.
That was cool. I bought that and I sold it, never played it.
Yeah, I'm not big on it myself, but that's what it is. So anyway, there's a lot of these companies nowadays, and I guess we'll probably each have our own opinions on it.
There's got to be 30 of them these days, if not more.
I would say legitimately there are at least like 12.
At least.
Yeah.
At least 12 reputable ones, yes.
Yeah, and you see, new ones pop up all the time. What was that one that had the games, people pre-ordered, then they ended up canceling it?
Was it something Warning?
Yeah.
Which was a very ironic name. It was a Warning.
Yeah, something with Warning in the name. You're right. And other than that, I don't know of any that have really shut down or whatever. But they're all like, there are enough of them. And so I guess the only thing I would say is that Limited Run, the company, has been around a really long time, because they started it on with Vita and PS3.
Well, I can give them a pass because they kind of started the whole boom. So they kind of get a pass, although some of their shipping times are not good.
Yeah, the thing is, with that, yeah.
Here's something I don't understand, right? Yeah. Just not to be off topic, but, I ordered my Switch blind box, and it's not estimated to ship till this month. What's the delay? You already have the game.
Yeah. So a blind box, just FYI, it's like a leftover stock.
It's a mystery game. You could either get a common or the rarest one.
Yeah. I bought one too. First time I've done that. But
me too.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't quite understand if they are stock, why does it take over a month to ship it? I think part of the reason, at least for Limited Run, one of their problems is that they probably got too big too quick, because
I think that happened.
They were known once the PS3 and Vita stuff was out. PS4 they did some.
The thing was, the Vita was so niche, the market was never going to be that big, but now everyone owns a Switch.
Right.
And they're doing, God, I don't even know what release they're on now. 60, 70? It's a lot.
Yeah, and not only that, but they've done all that, the Star Wars stuff, the N64 games.
Yep. Yeah, because they're still doing other stuff too.
Yeah, Switch isn't the only thing. In fact, pretty much every release also has a PS4 counterpart.
Most of them, yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, PS4 gets some games that Switch doesn't, and I think it might go the other way around too. But one thing's for sure, Xbox doesn't get any.
No, and I don't think there's a single limited run type game out there for the Xbox that I'm aware of that's not just, a retail release that's kind of rare.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, that was the case with the 362 and the original Xbox. They've been shafted forever on the indies.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. So I guess this is kind of an off-the-cuff video, so there's not really a structure. But I know you pulled a few games that you've got.
I did.
Pulled a few games that I've got. Most of the ones I have at least have a story or a reason or something unique about them that I bought them for.
Yeah, all these are games I bought with the intent that I'm going to play them.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I don't have none of these games that I have are actually sealed. The exception would be, well, there's a couple exceptions, but they're sealed just because I haven't gotten to play them yet.
Mine are, but I've played them all digitally.
Yeah,
actually, in some form.
Yeah, I lied to you just now. Actually, I did keep one. Oh, I kept two sealed, but one for a good reason. But the other one that I did keep sealed is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And I kept that sealed because I had it digitally when they announced everything.
Like, there's no reason to open it.
Yeah. But it was just too cool to not buy. Plus an awesome game. So
right. I still need that game actually.
Yeah. I think that's one of the Best Buy things. Well, that's another thing with Limited Run, the Best Buy partnership. They've got a full-on retail side of the business.
I mean, at this point, they're almost a retail company because I believe pretty good amount of releases are getting Best Buy releases, and to be honest, they aren't that limited from what I've seen. Like, I walk into Best Buy and they've got 10 copies of every one.
Yeah, and I've never really seen them run out, and if they have,
no, me either.
And they've gotten like replenished. I think the only one I've heard of having any sort of stock issue was that game called, is it Aegis Defenders or something?
Yeah,
like
but I saw that.
I think you can find that one easily now.
But on the flip side, now that you see that they're never sold out, it's like maybe the market's kind of drying up.
Could be.
This limited run craze.
I guess in general, it may go without saying if you saw the video of I know you know it, but all the limited games or limited run games that I've got. And I even mentioned it in the room tour, is that I'm just a huge fan of indie games nowadays.
Oh, me too. Me too.
And these companies have really latched on, and it's the only way that these games would ever see physical releases is through, because it's just, I'm guessing it's
definitely
too convoluted and too expensive to go through an Activision or
I'm sure the fees and everything you'd have to pay, it's not even worth it for you.
Right. So there's games that, on the eShop you buy that are like $10, but I would gladly spend, I think most of these are $35, and
for the most part, yeah. Except Power Rangers.
Yeah. Well, I heard that game's not good anyway.
Me either. Actually, speaking of indie games that are on the Switch, that are actually on Xbox, because I found it from Game Pass, but it's on the Switch that I would like a physical of. Lonely Mountain Biking. Hang on, I can tell you what it is.
Lonely Mountain Biking.
Lonely Mountains Downhill, but it's just it's a little indie game with cute graphics, and you're just riding a bike down a trail. And it's kind of like Trials. You ever play Trials?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You try not to crash, you get to the checkpoints.
I gotcha.
But it's fun, and I would buy a physical of that game. But the problem is, a lot of these indies that these companies are putting out are crap games.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that there's a lot of indie developers, but Limited Run comes out with a new game, like 3 games a month, maybe.
It's like once a week almost at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got a growing niche or growing like market of people who want these games, but you're running out of like these quality games, and you can really see it because like the first few games that they, actually some of the first few games they were coming out with, I had zero interest in, but once they got a hold of games like Celeste, and stuff like that, the big indie games, if that makes sense. Now I'm seeing a lot of them from those other companies that I just don't recognize or have any interest in.
Well, that's the problem is, how many good indies are there to put physically between 20 companies? Eventually, you're just gonna have to put out garbage.
Like
If you
that
want,
company that put out, what was that game called? Poop Slinger or something?
oh God,
On
something like
PlayStation
that.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Limited to like 150 copies or something like that.
super rare, and it's probably a horrible game.
So why don't we? There's a few games here that I have that I thought were worth mentioning, and I'll just start with the limited run games. I have more than this, but I brought out 4 of them.
Hey, I got 4 too. Look at that.
Okay. The first one that I wanted to bring up was Time Spinner. And the reason I brought this one up, it's a Metroidvania type game.
I don't even think I've heard of that one.
It reminds me of a little bit of Symphony of the Night, that type.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a pretty good game. It's not all that long, but it is fun. But the reason I brought this one up is not only was it fun, but it was also, this is the Best Buy version. And so that's obviously worth mentioning is Best Buy versions have different covers. Sometimes, though, those covers are better, I think, than the limited.
They are. Sometimes, yeah.
They come with manuals and things. But if you have the Best Buy Gamers Club discount, like I do, then this $35 game is all of a sudden $7 less. So that's why I wait for Best Buy on a lot of these.
Oh, I wish they'd bring back Gamers Club unlocked.
Still use mine. You're welcome to use it.
Anytime. I know.
Yeah.
Definitely taking advantage of it.
So did you pull 4 games total?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got more than that. So why don't I just run through my limited run games?
All right.
And the next one I bought was Tarak, the collection, the double pack.
I do kind of want that.
I thought it was a cool, and I didn't want to spend, was it $60 a piece on the actual N64?
Yeah. Which would be cool, but
they're really cool. But this was only like $60 for 2 games, and I already played Turok 1 and finished that. That was really fun, so I'll play the second one eventually.
I'm sure they look great.
Yeah, they're 1080. Well, they're HD. I don't know if they're 1080 or not, but and they're upgraded a little bit, so it's not just like an N64 game in 1080. It's actually a little bit better than that. But and then I mentioned Iconoclast. I don't need to go over that again.
Turok just seems like a strange game to get a physical in this era.
It does, but I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of them taking old games and remastering them.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely.
Yeah. So that's another thing that they do that I don't know of any other company that really does it.
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, so that I like they did it with Shadows of the Empire and stuff like that.
They did it with one that I'm going to talk about here too, actually.
Cool. Well, the last one I'll mention then, so you can get on to yours, is this is my open copy, but the only Wii U release.
Oh, I should have grabbed that, but you got it. I have it too.
Axiom Verge. Probably one of the best games I've ever played. At least from an indie perspective, it is very good.
Also, probably the rarest Wii U game, I would imagine, by a lot.
It probably will be.
I would assume Devil's Third is a little more common.
I don't know. I'd have to see. I know when this came out, it came out shortly before I went to Midwest Gaming Classic last year, and there were at least 2 vendors that had it, trying to upsell. I bought 2 copies of this, and the only reason I bought 2 is because I wanted to open one, and they were not very expensive. And I wanted to open one to see what the insides looked like.
I know, I really wanted to, but I couldn't justify it.
Well, and when I did that, I took pictures of everything just so I could remember and see what I have to actually go ahead and open this again. But they say I think it was the developer that said the Wii U version is actually the best one.
Oh, really now?
The map and the inventory is on the gamepad.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
You don't have to pause the game to look at the map and stuff. I actually beat this game on Switch. And the sequel comes out this year actually, but I've been wanting to play it again. I think if I do, I might play this one.
How interesting, right? A Wii U game in like 2019. Who'd have thought? No one ever thought that game was going to come out.
That did come out in 2019, didn't it? Yeah, it's all copyrighted 2017, but that's because they had that lawsuit.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was never going to happen.
Well, yeah, there was always they would always drop those rumors about a Wii U game and then never.
But it never materialized.
They always said they can't say what it is yet or whatever. And then
now we know why that is.
Yeah. And then finally, when it was announced, you were the first one to tell me.
Definitely. Yeah, I was like, I'm on it. Like, I gotta get it. As a Wii U collector, had to buy it.
Yeah, and I knew I had to have it because I wanted to go for the full set. And once it sells out, then it's going to be whatever impossible. So, all right, what did you pull up?
All right, well, we're on the topic of limited run. So the first one I'll talk about, speaking of games that they've kind of turned around and remastered and kind of made a little bit better, is Luminous.
Puzzle game, right?
Yeah, but it's just weird it's on Switch because I don't know if this is a Sony, like, for some reason I thought this was like a Sony developed game, but it must not be if it's on Switch. Because it says it's by Resin Air. But I mean, who's talked about Luminous in the last 10 years? Nobody.
You might have just said this. Is that a PSP game?
It's a PS2 game.
PS2.
And there's a PSP one and there's a Vita one. But it's never been like an overly popular series. No one ever talks about it.
Yeah.
But one of the best puzzle games ever, if you like puzzle games. This is up there with the best. But very cool. There's a limited edition of that I really want to get. And another limited run game here that I actually found later on, and I didn't buy it when it came out. I don't even know why I bought this because I'm never going to play it, but Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh, that was an interesting one.
Another, like, they're bringing back a series that who's talked about in the last 20 years.
Yeah, nope. I never played Toe Jam and Earl, but I did think that was cool to come out physically.
I played Panic on Funkatron once, and it was all right. But I've never been like, oh yeah, Toe Jam and Earl. All right, so this is the one little point of contention. So this is The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, and it's by NIS America.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of group them in with the rest of these companies a little more than usual. Because, I mean, yes, most of their games get a retail release, but most of the special editions don't get a retail release. They're only available through their website. Now, that being said, they're not nearly as limited. NIS is a huge company these days. They've also been around for like 30 years, so I'll give them a pass too. But I don't know. I put them up there with it, but I will say if I put them in that group, every game is good that they release.
Yeah. Well, I think the only thing I would really disagree with, obviously the games are limited to an extent, and they have cool collector's editions. By the way, their collector's editions, as far as build quality, are probably the most quality I've
Oh, definitely. Yes, by far.
And they're not all that expensive. They're like $65 usually, something 70 maybe.
Some aren't even that expensive. Some are launch at 40, 45, which is great.
I have Fallen Legion and SNK 40th anniversary.
I have Fallen Legion.
Yeah.
I got rid of SNK.
I guess the only reason I would differ that company from the rest of them is because they've been around so long that they're not really a part of the fad.
Well, that's true, and I can see that. I can see that.
Kind of like a Play Asia, I guess. In my
yeah, sort of.
Yeah. Now Play Asia does their own limited stuff, but theirs don't seem to be that popular.
They don't seem that desirable, no.
Yeah, I've got one of them, and I don't.
Do you?
Yeah, I have that Anakin Dallas collection.
Oh,
like
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, they're okay. But I think I would just separate. They do basically the same thing, but I do separate them just a little bit.
I gotta say, I feel bad for anybody who was even thinking of going for a complete Switch collection at this point. Yeah, it's not going to be doable in 10 years.
Yeah, I guess the only way I could see it actually being doable, it would still be a pain in the ass, but you could do it if you just stuck to NTSC, North American games.
That's a little more doable, but like even then, like
because there's
so
only
many.
I think there's only 2 companies that release these in North America.
Isn't that weird? Most of the companies are foreign.
Yeah, Limited Run is from the United States, and I also think Special Reserve, I believe their games are NTSC.
Are they?
Yes.
Well, speaking of a company that's not NTSC, the last game I pulled out here, again, another series that's it's been around forever, but not super popular, but I'm glad that it got a physical for the Switch, and it's R-Type Dimensions. And this is a strictly limited release, who I think are from the UK, maybe?
I think it's Germany.
Is it Germany?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're right, because the address is a name I can't pronounce at all because it's German.
Yeah.
That being said, I will say, like, the best thing about all these companies, limited type games, most of them aren't even $60.
Yeah.
So at least if you are buying them, they're normally around the $30 mark.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have to factor in shipping from the UK or wherever it is. Sometimes that can get a little expensive.
Yeah. I can't remember what company it is. I think it's Special Reserve. They're one of the few. Or is it their name? Yeah, Special Reserve. They do free shipping in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Limited Run sure as hell doesn't.
No, Limited Run does not. Yeah, the price of their games kind of adds up once you know, add
Oh,
shipping and
real
stuff.
real quick. Yeah, real quick. That blind box was $37 after fees, shipping, and tax.
Yep. The thing about those other companies, and Limited Run, I guess, is guilty of this too because you can buy their games in Best Buy, but they often will release like a different version of a game you can get elsewhere if you want.
Yeah.
The Messenger is a good example. That's one of the last ones I've got. This game was released by Limited Run. Did a how do you want to call it? They published a version of it. Special Reserve did this Special Reserve version of it, which was slightly. It might have been the same price, but it comes with this like NES style case.
I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's good quality, and it has a different cover. The case, the Switch case itself has a different cover. And then this one was another one that Strictly Limited did. Ninja Saviors. You can buy this pretty much anywhere, I think. Online. You can't. I don't think you can buy it in stores, but you can buy it on. You might be able to buy this at Best Buy. In fact, I'm actually quite sure that you can.
I just saw. I think they're doing another game right now that you can get physically already.
Yeah, and the only difference with this one is that it's a different cover, but it also came with like some pins and a postcard.
Now here's where the problem is going to be for collecting in like 10 years. Do you count every publisher's release of that as its own game in the set?
I think I'd call that
because that's kind of like, oh man.
Well,
that's all.
I maybe you'll know the answer to this. I don't. Think about like NES. Do they count both versions of Pac-Man as individual games?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're talking about Tengen and Namco.
To be fair, are they different, or are they the same game on the cart?
You know, that I don't know, actually.
I actually don't remember either. I have the Namco one, but
I sure don't remember.
Or like Metroid. Do they count both versions of Metroid as the same?
No, that's a variant. Are these technically variants?
I think it's
it's subjective, I guess, to the collector.
Yeah.
I can personally say I'm not going after every single one of these.
Yeah.
It's just not.
I think the one company that I don't know if we've mentioned their name yet that I like a lot. They might be my favorite, and I think the reason that they might be my favorite is because their games they're more limited as far as sparse, I should say. They don't come out every week.
Right. They're actually limited run games.
Yeah, and they announce a game every whatever. They usually will tease it, but that's super rare games.
I don't have any of their stuff, but I do like what they do.
Yeah, they're in the UK. The guy who runs the place actually is in that Switch group that on Facebook.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he is in there. But their games are all stocked.
Right, so they're ready to go when you order.
Yeah, they've already got 5,000 copies printed before you buy it.
Now,
so wait.
Speaking of super rare, don't they also do like their membership thing now too? And
yeah, club. It gives you like some benefits, but I think the biggest one is you get an advanced opportunity.
Right. And I know they do those like packs of games now too. Like
you can buy that one.
Buy them in threes.
Like, good time, yeah.
And I can't think of any other company that's doing that.
I can't either. And I think overall, a lot of their games have been pretty quality.
Yeah, I would say they've been pretty good.
In fact, I think one of the last ones they did was Steam World Quest.
Oh, did they do that one?
Yeah, it's from the Steam World guys.
It's like a spinoff.
Yeah, it's a card-based RPG type game.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and the last I knew, they made like 8,000 of those, I think, and it was still available on their website.
So that was what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
I had a point. Talking about seeing the market dry up a little bit. It used to be any of these companies, the second it was announced and available for pre-order, it was gone. It was just gone in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you go to like Super Rare, Strictly Limited, a lot of these games are still in stock.
Yeah.
Like I think the last time I was on Super Rare's website, I think it was Super Rare, they do In Plus, another random game. That game's been available for like a year now.
Yeah,
it's kind of showing that it doesn't matter if it's a limited run game if it's crap.
Well, I mean, even though even the SteamWorld game that I just mentioned, that was up forever. It might still be up, and that's a good game.
Oh, let's go look.
Yeah, SteamWorld Quest, I believe it's called.
I got a chance here.
Yeah, and I think 8,000 copies was the run on that one, and that's kind of a lot compared to they used to only be like 4. And I think the one I pulled out, and I don't know why I pulled this one out, but is Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, which is like one of the ones that has just jumped post retail. You know what I mean? So it's like
at one point it was the most expensive Switch game.
Yeah, it's a couple $100 or whatever it is now. I don't know, but at one time it was at least that.
And yes, you can still buy SteamWorld Quest now, along with 4 or 5 other titles that are older.
Yeah, this was number 4. I think. Yeah, this was their 4th game, and those early ones they only did. I think 4,000 was the highest run that I saw.
Believe so.
And now they're doing double that. So
well, that's because they're all getting bigger and bigger as companies, and they're
right. So
they want to make more money. I mean, I get it. That's the name of the game.
Yeah,
but it's like the point of these games was to be limited, and now they're just almost becoming full retail releases.
Yeah, and I think once you've started to supply more copies than there is demand, then the niche of getting a limited run game when it comes out is gone.
Well, I will say, being in that Switch group on Facebook, a lot of people are like, to hell with them. I'm done.
I've seen that, yeah. I mean, there's just too many games to keep up. I think, and not only too many games, there's too many companies to keep up.
Too many companies, too many games, too many bad practices, and people are just losing faith and don't care. Because then I think people are starting to realize, well, I can never have them all.
I guess the only thing I would really say to that is there's a couple things you should understand. Is one, that the fact that you can get some of these games, I think Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time is a good example. The fact that you can get that game physically in 2020 is really a borderline miracle.
That's true.
Yeah, because that's almost like a phone type game, and a lot of these games.
Well, a lot of them are, though. Like, look at Tiny Troopers, which isn't technically a limited run game, but it kind of was, though. It was a Walmart exclusive. 5,000 copies, supposedly, even though my Walmart had like 15 of them.
Right. But I think when people start
that's a phone game, basically.
Yeah, but I think when people start getting upset or mad at these limited runs or super rare games or whatever, you got to understand a little bit that they're still doing something that overall is good. People they do, right?
I mean, it's great that indies are getting physicals, and I'm super glad that the Switch has become like the hub of physical indie games these days.
Yeah, same.
That's great.
And I don't think that I think we've got to be people. We don't, because I don't necessarily have this mentality, but I think people need to be at least cognizant or understand that just 4 years ago or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever it was, the amount of games that we were even getting for the Wii U was just a joke.
Three a year?
Right. And so now you've got people complaining that there's too much. I think you need to stop and understand that your problem is really not that much of a problem.
No, it's a first world problem is what it is.
The opposite is much worse.
I mean, the Wii U, what a disaster, right?
Yeah.
As a Wii U owner, it's like, oh great, I get Mario Tennis this year, and it's the only first party title, and it's also terrible.
It was bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh great.
You mentioned Wii U. That's about the only thing I'll say about it is I made a video years ago. It's gotten several thousand views at this point, but of why some guy made a video about why the Wii U sucks.
I remember your rebuttal.
Yeah, that was a very, I don't know, frankly dumb video, and I'm not sure why I had such a vested interest in the whole thing.
Well, I think at the time the console was new and people were quick to dismiss.
It was getting bad press.
But as time goes on, you kind of realize, well, they were right.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, a lot of great games on there, but really, now that the Switch is out, you kind of can see.
Well, they're also all on Switch too.
Yeah, most of them.
Like 95%.
Yeah. So, anyway, we could probably wrap the video up. We're just crossing near the half-hour mark. I think the only thing I would say is I do really like the limited run companies. That said, there are too many of them, and that's causing a problem. Obviously, the quality of the games has gone down.
Yeah, the market's being flooded.
Yeah, but I do appreciate a lot of the stuff that they do. And I think in a couple of years, what you'll probably see is there will be a couple still standing, and I think that's limited run, and probably, if not super rare, they might still be. But I think you'll still see a special reserve around because they're owned by Devolver. And
Yeah, they'll probably
Devolver's
survive.
pretty,
Limited run, I don't see going anywhere. Super rare will probably make it too. But the rest, I don't see it happening.
yeah, at some point you've gotta really strictly limited, maybe, I don't know. But you've got to by the way, how many different ways can you say limited run? Strictly limited.
Oh my god. Yeah, let's talk about the names for a second.
Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous with the people putting the word limited in their name. It's getting out of hand.
Some synonym for rare or limited or whatever.
Like at this point, it is a fad. That's what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, I think overall it is a fad, but it's a legitimate. There at its core, I think there's legitimately something there that will stick around. But I think you're going to see companies fall off.
Yeah, this video wasn't, to hate on any of these companies because I'm sure they all do something interesting or whatever. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that these indies get releases. I just wish that they'd pick some better titles sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the barrel is being scraped. You know what I mean? So they're kind of. At some point, they're going to run. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
They're just going to run out. Yeah, it's just going to. At the rate they're going.
At the same time, there are a lot of really good indie games that keep coming out. Blasphemous was a good one that recently came out. There's new ones all the time.
Celeste.
Right. So there are still ones coming out, but they're slightly more high profile than games like Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. And so I think you'll probably wind up seeing those bigger type indie games go towards these bigger limited companies.
Oh, definitely. You're not gonna see like I don't know. What's the random one that's kind of what's that one?
Company or game?
Company. I'm trying to think of one of those more limited companies that's not limited run.
No.
Okay, I'm struggling now after I just.
Strictly Limited is
I don't know. I'll just use Strictly Limited. Like you're not gonna see Strictly Limited putting out like just for an example, like say if Grand Theft Auto was an indie game, they're not putting it out. Limited Run's putting it out. So what do they? So what do they get to put out? They get to put out the scraps.
It's a bigger name. Now I think Strictly Limited does a good job with unique games like that Ultra Core thing they did.
That was cool. That was kind of a high profile release too, though.
Yeah, just because of the history.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And they did that cool Genesis version of it too, which was neat.
That was cool. I'm glad they did that.
So cool. All right. Well, yeah, it's been a long video, so maybe we should wrap it up. But
I'm going on 40 minutes here.
Yeah, it's been a while. There are there's a lot of games, a lot of indie games, but I think you and I are pretty much in the same boat. It's good stuff. Eventually, it'll get smaller before, and then it'll probably just right itself.
Yep, I think that's the same thing. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Great. All right. Well, you can find this video on both channels. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll probably do this again about something else sometime soon, I think.
Yeah, sure.